What's up, y'all? My name is Josh, and this is
What's up, y'all? It's Bree here.
Yes, and we're so excited that you are back for another episode where in this series we're talking about being triggered, right? And in this episode we're talking about what it looks like to be triggered when things don't go as we thought they would.
Yeah.
What it's like to be triggered when things don't go like we thought they would.
There's so many stories.
Welcome to adulthood.
Bro, the struggle be real.
Before we even get into any story, how just the idea of things not going how you thought they would. Are you a I want to say the word. The word is like, are you a details person? Are you a this has to go this type of way or else
planner?
I'm going to be I think I'm trying to say the step. If there's planner, then there's the step above planner.
Well, I think we might have two different answers to that.
Go ahead. I'd love to hear.
I think if things do not go my way, I try to be in my mind. I try to be cool, calm, and collected. I think I am.
You are.
Thank you. But you may say differently. Depending on the circumstance. So, but I would say I do like to write things down. I do think I'm a planner. I think I've always been like that, to be like, man, like I want my life to go like this and this and this. But I will say no pun intended. I don't really think it's one. But since we've been married, I think I don't plan as much.
There was no pun in that. But yes, okay. You don't plan as much. Okay.
Tell them about you. What about you?
Give me a second. I'm getting there.
Oh.
I'm getting there.
You be trying to.
I'm getting. I think for me, which is funny, when I was younger, I don't think that I was able to. I always just be like, I feel like I can't see the future. I can't vision what would be like to come. And then I feel like as I got older, I got better at starting to see trends and patterns and starting to be like, oh, so if I do this, then this, or this, or like if I do this and then this is going to happen and that'll happen. I think I heard a quote that said, I heard a quote that said, we underestimate what we can do in 10 years and we overestimate what we can do in a year. And I think I oftentimes overestimate what I can do and oftentimes have to deal with the things not going how I thought that they would because I was overestimating what I thought I could do.
Yep. I don't have anything to add. Well,
that's what it. Yeah.
I think also I was gonna say too is that I think it's a personality thing too.
Say
I
more.
feel like if you were to assess us as a couple, one would say that I like to stick in the present and you like to dibble and dabble in the future. But I think sometimes when it comes to sticking in the present, I still have plans for the future, so I get more frustrated when it doesn't work out.
Yeah, I think which is funny because I think, and then we'll get started, but I think you actually get more. I think I may get frustrated long-term goals, but I feel like you get frustrated in the immediate, or not even frustrated. I think you have more of a sense of urgency in the immediate for some things.
Yeah, not everything, but
some things that I'm just like, okay. And then vice versa though, where it's just like I feel like I'll obsess over something and then you just be like, we're not even there yet. Like we're not even there.
Yes, we won't even get into our dating experience because that was like a whole thing.
It was wonderful. That's what got you here. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna hop right into talking about what it looks like to be triggered when things aren't going as planned. And Bree's gonna kick us off with a story of sorts.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's a story we can all relate to, whether you've done school or not. But I think my main thing is when I was in college, I had these expectations and these ideas of what I thought life would be like.
When you were in college, where did you go to college?
Oh, wait, sorry. So I went to two colleges. So I went to Albany State University in Georgia, and then I went to Broward College for physical therapy assistant. But I'll say when I was at Broward College, getting ready to graduate with my degree, as a physical therapy assistant, I think the first thing I thought was like, bro, I'm gonna get a job quick because it's healthcare and you'll always have a job. I thought that. I was like, I'm making all this money. I am gonna be living.
How much you thought you was gonna make when you got out? When you
I'm
got
not
out of
telling.
there? How
I'm
much
not
you thought you was
telling.
gonna make?
More than what?
Big ballin'.
Yes. Yeah, but reality is this, is that when I moved back home, I actually was in unfamiliar territory because I didn't get a job until maybe like 3 months of me like being at home. And I thought 3 months was like, it was forever. And I was so frustrated because I couldn't get a job.
Talk more about that frustration. I know it manifests as frustration, but what were the conversations with God like? What were the conversations with friends like? Like, what were your conversations in that period of frustration of things not going how you thought that they should?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I was just very disappointed. I think for me, I like to be positive and I like to be like, oh, this is going to happen and this, and this. And I think that was my first wake up call of like, man, like it doesn't happen like that. And it really bothered me for a little bit. And I struggled. So even when I did get the job, I struggled from not having a job to getting this job and then being like, should I be in this job? Is this the right job for me? Did I just take this job because it wasn't what I expected and I just need money? So it was a lot of different things.
How were your feelings towards God in that moment?
I think I was confused, and I think I immediately wanted to know, like, I don't understand. I've done all the right steps. I've gotten the degree. I've gotten the good grades. I know what I'm supposed to be doing, and I know what I feel like you have led me to do. And so it was a lot of, like, it was just frustration, and it was anger, and it was unanswered questions.
Yeah.
And I was not a happy person.
Yeah. I think we talked a little bit about this the other day, but in a different context. But I think what I realized, or what brought me the most frustration as I became an adult and started just in my walk with Jesus, I think effort plus Jesus does not equal outcome.
Yes, you did talk about that. And I
that
gave you this same look.
Messes me up every single time. Effort plus Jesus does not equal outcome. Here's what I mean. Let me just explain that a little bit. What I mean by that is that us giving our best effort and dreaming and doing the thing and putting in the work, just because we feel like we're in a relationship with Jesus, doesn't mean that the outcome is going to be exactly what we thought we wanted it. I'll speak for myself. I thought that was the equation. If I was doing what I felt like God said I needed to do, and I'm in his ways, then I will get the outcome that I want. And I think I was in for a rude awakening when it's just like, well, what did I do wrong? I didn't do anything wrong, but that's not the equation. That's not a correct equation.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too, it gives the same context of like when we talk about great people who have like something has happened to them where they were great people, they didn't deserve the things that happened to them, and now the things still happen. So you think you're confused because you're like, bro, but like they're this great person. How did they get cancer? Like they're this great person. How did they pass away? They're this great person. They do all these things for community. Why are they struggling with depression?
Yeah.
Like things like that. So yeah, we had a whole conversation about this.
Yeah, like Diddy was okay. Let me stop.
We need to get off Diddy.
God, my heart breaks. We're praying for Diddy. What was I gonna say? I lost my train of thought. I was saying effort plus God doesn't equal outcome, and I think that part right there, as we go into this conversation, I think is important. Just as we navigate things. But like I said, as we're triggered by certain things, realizing that we can be triggered when things aren't going how we want them to go. And I think some of the ways that we can choose to, even in your story of like how you navigated, it seems like one of the primary things you were wrestling with in that moment where you thought that the job was going to go a certain type of way, or you were going to get the degree and then it was going to do this. But it seemed like you were wrestling with an expectation.
Yes, and I was going to give another example in terms of just this idea of expectations, because I think even in the context of a relationship or friendship or even like marriage, In my mind, I think I had some silent expectations coming into relationships. And so when those expectations weren't met, then I also was extremely disappointed.
Yeah. So let's format that for a second. Let's talk. So it seems like there are expectations, and as we navigate life, as we go on and have careers and go to school and finish that, we're going to naturally start to build. What we've observed is that we just naturally start to build these goals and these dreams and these ideals that where we wanted to go, right? And sometimes we're going to realize that even though we do the thing and it seems like things are moving, we may not get the outcome that we want, right? So we wrestle with that as an expectation. And then there's another layer to that where let's call them hidden expectations, right? Because these are the expectations that we don't know we have,
or you don't until say.
But I feel like we don't know we have. Sure. Yeah. Until we don't get the thing that we wanted to get, right? So like for you, it happened to you in the reverse as a positive thing, because like you used to watch Hallmark Channel all the time.
I still do.
And you seen all those wonderful couples, and now you got me. So it happened to you in a good way, and you didn't realize that it happened to you in that good way. But for some people, it doesn't happen like that. Everybody ain't as blessed as that, for that to be the case for them.
I think the fact you said that with such confidence.
I mean, I believe it.
No.
Ooh, but yeah.
No.
I think there's expectations, in all seriousness. There's expectations, and then there are these hidden expectations, right? And these hidden expectations, I can agree and attest to that, where it's just like, I think there are things that I did not know that I wanted until it was not happening for me. More specifically, when it comes to, it may look like this for y'all in some different type of way. I'm going to do this by this age.
Yeah.
Right? And you don't realize that you have that expectation until you're 30 and you're racking your brain and you're talking about, well, I thought that I was going to.
Right.
Like, right? It's like you start to just navigate that. So there are these, we can react to our expectations in a not positive way, right? Where we can spiral down, we can just hold it into ourselves, we can not talk about it to others, like we can isolate ourselves, we can just not handle it in a healthy way. We can choose to react to that. But I think in some of what you said also, go ahead, you were going to say something?
Yep. I think the only thing I was going to add is sometimes when you continue to have unmet expectations or silent expectations, for me, I had moments where I had no expectation at all because I had struggled.
Say more.
With.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I just think in the context of like I kept being let down by these expectations that I had, or there were moments where like I thought things were going to go the way I wanted them to go, and they didn't go that way. So I think sometimes moving forward, I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to expect anything, because anytime I expect something, it just doesn't go my way anyway.
Yes, and I think I think that can sometimes be the danger of not dealing with expectations or your silent expectations in a proper, in a way that is fruitful, right? And I think I fall into that also. I think even there are times where it's like, I feel like I am the ultimate dreamer, and I think I have visions and ideas of what could be.
So many ideas.
And I think at times, though, like one can go after things and things may not go your way constantly, and you find yourself in a place where it's just like, man, it's almost easier to not dream anymore than to deal with the disappointment that comes on the other side of that, right? So some people say, I think there was a quote that said something like, some people rather live disappointed than to be disappointed, right? So it's just like choosing to, I feel like if we're not here are the stakes of why we're talking about expectations and being triggered by them, and when things don't go as we thought they would. The stakes are you becoming so numb to the situation and removing yourself and choosing to just live disappointed instead of being disappointed and learning how to deal with the being disappointment part. Because the living disappointed isn't fun either. We think we're protecting ourselves, and it does feel safe for a little bit, but like that's not great either.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think I have a lot to say, but I think to sum it up, I just think it's this reality of I think it's okay to have expectations. I think it's not okay to have no expectations, but there's a line you have to play in terms of how you respond to being disappointed by, expectations, things not going as planned.
Yeah, I think someone defined disappointment is unmet expectations, right?
Boom.
So like disappointment is basically a definition for disappointment is just unmet expectations. And I think expectations are great. I feel like, man, this topic right here, I feel like it's been permeating in my mind for the last 3 years or so, because it's just like just at this stage in life and marriage and all of these things, it's just like don't feel like I'm at the culmination of anything, but like there's so many things that have happened, and I'm moving into adulthood and just realizing like, oh, I think there are a lot of silent expectations that I had of even like, man, I thought I put in this much effort for this by this time. I thought that I'd be here by this time, or I thought that this would happen, or I thought that this would happen. And like learning how to respond to unmet expectations instead of reacting to unmet expectations, I think is super important. Go ahead.
Yeah, but like I guess the tension is for those of us who get tired of being knocked down by unmet expectations. Like what's the best way to respond to that? Because it gets defeating at some point, that you continue to do all the right things or feel like you do all the right things and continue to be this great person. I think it was this, I wrestled with this maybe like 2 years ago, this idea of like, honestly, just being a good person versus being a Christian, and how like there's just a difference even in that sense. But how do you respond to someone who gets tired?
Yeah, I think it's a great question. I think first answer is I don't know. I have zero idea. I don't know. This is why we having these conversations, because we try to figure it out.
Y'all let us know.
I have no idea. I think what I do for myself when I find myself slipping into that mode, automatically what kicked into my mind was just what I tell myself is I don't deserve anything. I feel like when I slip into that moment, it's almost like I feel entitled to a result. And I think in that entitlement, like I'm entitled to things going this way or to things going that way. And I think I just get to a place where I realize like, you know what? I'm not entitled to anything. Like I'm blessed to be able to live a life and be able to kind of go at it. So I will wake up tomorrow and try again. But I'm not saying that that's the answer. I'm saying that's how I start to right my my brain and my frame of mind a little bit. But I think it's a hard place to be. It's a defeating place to be. That place can be visited multiple times. Just because you leave don't mean you're not coming back.
Yes. Well, and to just like what you said, that word entitlement, I think that triggered me. Was that a pun? Yep. I think it triggered me because I think I had an experience like that probably pretty recently in terms of just being like really upset by this thing that I expected to happen. It didn't happen. And I don't know what I was reading, but they used the word entitlement and this idea of like, yeah, you may have felt that way, but also you may feel like you are entitled to have this thing because you do all these great things. But the reality is like that is not great.
Yeah. So yeah, entitlement can be another way that we react to this idea of when things don't go as they're planned. Like we react in a way of like we're entitled to that thing. But
yeah, for sure.
Moving along into how we can start responding to some of those things, right? What does it look like practically to start to respond to some of that? And I think to my first thing, and even to that person that you were just saying, where it's just like where you just feel so defeated and depleted, my suggestion is just pray, right?
Yeah.
I would just start with prayer. And I'm talking that raw, ugly prayer. I'm talking that prayer that you probably don't want to repeat to the pastor. Like I'm talking just let God know where you at and how you're feeling. Because I think a lot of times it's starting with acknowledging where we actually are and acknowledging that and confessing that for ourselves.
Yeah. And two, I think was talking to a friend about this the other day, just this reality that God can handle how you respond to him in prayer. Like he can handle your anger. He actually already knows it. He's just waiting for you to speak up and say how you really feel, because you can't mask anything with him. So it's just like, bro, like I'm gonna just tell you, I am really upset with you right now.
Yeah. Just let him know. Let him know. Put some respect on his name, but let him know.
Joshua.
Let him know. So I think it starts with prayer, and then I think always love going back to this verse in Luke where Jesus is in the garden after he gets arrested, and he's about to go to the cross essentially, and he basically prays like, God, Father, if this is take this cup away from me. But then he goes on to say, nevertheless, your will, not my will, be done. So I think there's a level of, hey, God, here's what I want to happen. But then there's a level of, at the end of the day, though, it's your will, not my will, right? So it's just like, again, effort plus God equals your will, his will, whatever it is that he decides outcome, but it doesn't necessarily equal the outcome that we think it's going to equal.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that leads into the next way we can respond is through surrendering. So just surrendering and recognizing like, man, like this is my expectation, my disappointment. These are things that I'm navigating to, but ultimately I have to surrender all of that to God and let him do what he needs to do in his will.
Yeah.
Not mine.
100%. So let me tell y'all something. Y'all are going to live completely beautiful lives, and you're going to have lots of dreams, and you're going to have lots of expectations. You're going to have all of these things. How you start to learn to react and respond to those expectations when things don't go how you thought they would, or things don't go how you planned them to go, is going to be very important for you. And just I feel like the quality of life, because you can choose to stay in the disappointment of expectation and be angry and bitter and mad at life and mad that things aren't going your way, which sometimes sounds appealing. Or you can choose to find a way to start responding through prayer, start responding through surrendering and taking the next steps outside of what you thought it was, what you thought it would be, into what it actually is. Any last thoughts?
No.
Okay.
No, I always say no and then I start talking.
You do.
Man, it's such a bad habit. No, I think the reality is kind of going back to what I said earlier. For me personally, I have been in a season where I didn't expect much and I was disappointed. And then I was in a season of I expected too much and I was disappointed. So I think it's just this reality of like, when we expect things as a part of life, we will have disappointments.
Yep. So
with that comes like, leading into prayer and just surrendering the situation, which I think the surrender part is, we can have a whole other topic about that, because it takes a lot to just surrender something. So I don't think I have anything to add to that, but it's just this reality of like, whether you have silent expectations that you know from birth, there will be some level of disappointment.
Yeah.
Because it's a natural part of life.
Yep. Learning how to deal with disappointment, I think, is going to be extremely just important. How you choose to respond to it, and what's just in your tool bag to be able to respond to when things don't go how you thought that they would go. And listen, that is not an easy feat. There are just maybe some things that y'all are even navigating that are just maybe heavy things that aren't going the way that you want them to go. And just an encouragement to y'all, man, as you continue to walk through it. Just praying that God will continue to help you just take your next right best step. I think that's literally all you can do, right? Is just take the next right best step. Do what's inside of your control to be able to do.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Josh, and this is...
I'm Brianna.
And we are so excited that you got a chance to listen to this episode about when things don't go as planned. Can't wait to see you in the next episode.
Bye.